Hi, it's Chris with Implied Music, and today I want to take a look at Soundtoys SuperPlate. SuperPlate is the successor to Little Plate, and Little Plate was great, a terrific EMT 140 emulation. SuperPlate takes it 6 steps further. Let's see if we can come up with some great sounds. Well, the classic EMT 140 is a plate reverb. Of course, a plate reverb works like kind of like a spring reverb. If you know your guitar amp, it's basically a kind of a speaker. There's a driver at one end of the plate, maybe a big plate, maybe as big as 10 feet, and then a transducer, a pickup on the other end. The plate vibrates, and that's the reverb sound. Typically, it's mono, but they did stereo versions as well with a couple of pickups on either side. And plate reverbs have been a staple of the rock and roll sound, especially for vocals, for decades. I think the original plate reverbs are from the early part of the 20th century, maybe the 40s or 50s, 50s probably, if I'm actually honest with myself. But let's take a look at this plugin and see how it tries to, emulate those original plate reverbs and take it just, one step further. So the classic 140 setting, and by the way, I have this plugin expanded with the tweak knob open so that we can see the EQ settings and these knobs down below at the same time. And this is the way you might have it set if you're really working hard on things. The classic 140, which was the Little Plates emulation, is supplemented by a gold foil from EMT, I think, as well, and then some more modern plate versions that have perhaps a little more highs and just general sounds. There's probably details about each of these somewhere. The clean setting is here, and we also have transistor preamps and tube preamps, which can be overdriven with the input knob. Thank you very much. Maybe we'll hear some of that. But for the time being, we've got a piano sound, and right now, let's turn it off, and here's my piano sound. And let's turn it on. We've got a mix set a little bit less than 50. It's a really beautiful, clean reverb. Now, if I was using this on piano in a rock context, I definitely set some pre-delay. And fortunately, we have some pre-delay over here. A 250 millisecond delay, that's the absolute top. Well, a little pre-delay will allow the sound to initiate before the actual reverb comes in, and that's, of course, really useful. Typically, plates would only offer as much as, say, 4 seconds of reverb time. And you can hear the reverb has a beautiful decay, a kind of a quality that changes over time. But if you get up into the red, you've got $16 seconds, infinity. I'm not sure what infinity is going to get us, but of course, shouldn't we try it? While it's at infinity, let's turn up the modulation. It's changing the pitch. Here's the rate of the modulation down below. Let's take this back to 8 seconds and increase the mix. Roll off even more lows. Let's look at this high and low pass filter. So my my high pass filter, it says lows, also displays on the EQ down below. And typically we'd see something quite mild like this, which I think is the default. But you can set it to as sharp a curve as 24 dB per octave. Let's roll off everything below 100. This is EQing the input sound to the reverb itself. It's not EQing the reverb, it's EQing the sound as it's fed to the reverb. Well, I love what's happening. And of course, I think there may be too many highs. So I'm going to roll this off. In fact, I'm going to change this to 6, very slow from 1K. Okay, this is beautiful. Well, the other plates, what do they sound like? Let's try the gold foil. Should have a little more highs. Ooh, that's really pretty for the piano sound, isn't it? And then the Auto-Decay. I feel like the modulation is a little more affected with that one. E plate 3, which is not a plate I know. But is lovely. And then the Stocktronics is, I think, Swedish. That's a beautiful, thick sound, really mid-rangey. That would be great for vocals. Well, we said it's got tube, transistor, and clean settings. Let's look at that tube setting. I'm going to go, I left the sound of the gold foil, so I'm going to go over here to the gold foil. And let's drive the input. Ooh, it does get a little furry, doesn't it? And then take the mix back. I'm going to increase the modulation and take the rate down. I feel like I'm in Harold Budd land. Harold Budd was the pianist whose album with Brian Eno is a staple of sort of ambient music, early ambient music. I can actually hear a little fuzz in the reverb sound. I don't actually mind it. It's kind of lo-fi in a beautiful way. Very interesting. I wonder how the transistor overdrive sounds. Of course, it's cleaner. Very, very pretty. So let's take a look at my favorite thing. And I sort of promised you the Auto-Decay gating effect down below. So check this out. So I've got a long reverb time, and you can hear it's building up on complicated passages, right? It's a little too much. The Auto-Decay does something that I just have never seen on anything else. It will decrease the reverb time when the original source material goes above a certain volume threshold. And I set the threshold here. And I've set my target decay time to a half second. Let's make it a second. So if you look up here where the knob is giving us time, you'll see a yellow bounce. The piano tone comes through clearly. The reverb time has been decreased. And when I release, and I can set the recovery time to be quite quick, as much as just a millisecond up to 0.5 seconds. Let's set it somewhere in between. I can do a fast flurry of notes. And when I release, the reverb comes back in. And this is terrific for faster passages. This is a really powerful tool, and I've never seen it on any other reverb. It's so much better than side chaining the reverb with the sound because we're not changing the actual volume of the reverb. we're changing the reverb time. That is awfully pretty. Well, just to complete our survey, we've got a stereo width and balance knob setting over here. And it is a true stereo plugin. If I send in left and right signals that are different, and of course this piano's fairly spread. I'm going to get true stereo, and that's, terrific. The reverb kind of does something with the stereo signal. And we could just decrease that width and put just for giggles, let's try it. So I'm hearing the piano more stereo and the reverb more in the center. And, without headphones, maybe you're not getting that, but it's a terrific effect as well. A plate reverb is fundamental to good production, and it's classic sound for vocals, as well as a lot of instrumental sounds. There are numerous presets for instruments and spaces for special effects, and it's well worth looking through them. The controls are such that you can just dial in the sound that you want, though. I mean, presets are great, but isn't it fun to dig in and find something you like? I'm real happy with this. Because I already had the Soundtoys bundle, it was inexpensive for me to get. I'm not really sure what the price is. I mean, you'll have to go look it up if you wanted to get it individually. If it's too big a bite, Little Plate is a terrific single plate emulation and highly recommended. Well, I hope this has been useful. Like and subscribe, ding the bell. You'll be notified when I do my videos. I'll see you next time.